judge temporarily blocks President Trump's funding freeze from going into effect until February 3. So it will go into effect, but it won't go into effect immediately. The plan, Donald Trump's plan, was for the funding freeze to take effect immediately. But then, of course, a federal judge appointed by Biden blocked the immediate action of Donald Trump's executive action. So we'll have to wait until February 3. But what does that mean for Medicaid, for SNAP benefits, the people in the cities like Philadelphia, Detroit, Chicago? What does it mean for, first of all, especially in these cities, they're heavily dependent on the public purse, they're heavily dependent on the state and social welfare. Of course, Donald Trump did say that immigrants were taking black jobs. So the plan was to deport all these immigrants and then to use policy and use executive action to force black and brown people who are on welfare into service jobs. Of course, part of his executive order was the funding freeze actually targets people who benefit from government assistance. And he had sent out a memo, I understand, that government agencies or federal agencies are to discontinue any financial assistance. That's ripple effect, and that's a rippling effect. Even for many public agencies, for non-profit agencies that employ people, there's some very large non-profit organization that benefit from government funding, from federal funding, and it's going to affect them immediately. Then that means a lot of people are going to go on what they call it, unemployment.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there are a lot more jobs now because now that they're sending back all these immigrants that were doing some of these jobs in these suburbs, in these communities that they expect black people supposed to be doing. Now black and brown people can now go back to doing service jobs. That's the expectation instead of the demand on welfare. So they're forcing. They're going to force people back to work.
But why do you think folks do not need to go to work?
Well, people. First of all, the culture that COVID creates, one. Okay, the flexible culture. People want a more flexible culture. That's one. Two, the salaries or wages, or salaries are low. I mean, especially a lot of people in the workforce today that are demanding high wages, high salary. So that's another reason why many people were going to the illegal immigrants or to immigrants, because their wage demand is high. But no, if you're going to high wage demand means back to high inflation, rising costs and prices. But this is interesting. But this is not what I wanted to talk about. Is this? It's an article that we just published. There's so much happening. There is so much happening since Donald Trump became president. You cannot keep up with the news. You cannot keep up. News agencies are experiencing shortfalls. They are they are hiring. They're having to be rehiring back some people who they let go. There's so much news. I was just talking with Dante about Donald Trump's executive action being blocked. The funding freeze. I was just having a conversation with him.
But of course it's going to be blocked. I mean, it's just a shock that the system you can't operate that way. Okay.
It is a shock. I think people something like this needs time because it's going to affect employers and employees. It's going to affect people who are in government agencies that
you're blocking unemployment. It's the people. That's what else.
Unemployment benefits. Oh, there's so much there. This is interesting. No. There's a story that we have. There's a myriad of stories. Dante has several stories that he's written that we want to share. We want to discuss. He's working on another story, looking at deep dive as against ChatGPT. We're going to talk about it. He's working on a story that explores deep dive as against ChatGPT. Looking at he's going to talk to us about his experiences and post an article that you guys can delve into. But he's been very busy also writing articles and updating us about what's going on with the California fires and as it relates to the executive action and Donald Trump. We have several articles in our website, the Neil Lubbold Journal is at theneilubold.com. You can go to the neillubold.com, check out the new. You can go to the Neil Lubbold Journals and check out all our latest articles and latest posting. But we have a article that I submitted today that I want to share with you. It's entitled "Reforming Birthright Citizenship: Protecting Against Misuse Without Misreading History." Reforming birthright citizenship, protecting against misuse without misreading history. In the article, I said that immigration reform continues to be a polarizing issue, and the debate surrounding birthright citizenship is no exception. There are no individuals who exploit the 14th Amendment coming to the United States with the sole intention of giving birth so their children can claim U.S. citizenship. While this practice is not a conspiracy, let me say this again, and I apologize. I said there are no. Let me say this. There are individuals who exploit the 14th Amendment coming to the U.S. with the sole intention of giving birth so their children can claim U.S. citizenship. While this practice is not a conspiracy, it is a documented reality that has far-reaching implications, including placing unnecessary strain on the foster care system when some of these parents leave, abandoning their U.S.-born children. The call to reform birthright citizenship is not about denying fundamental rights, but about addressing loopholes that undermine its original intent. Critics often argue that any changes to this policy would challenge the citizenship rights of enslaved individuals and their descendants, invoking the amendment's historical significance. However, this perspective, while emotionally resonant, is overly simplistic and fails to recognize the evolving context of constitutional law. The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, was designed to secure the citizenship of formerly enslaved people and their children, ensuring they could not be denied rights due to their race or status. It was a groundbreaking provision for its time, crafted to address the injustice of slavery and the systemic exclusion of African Americans from the full benefits of citizenship. However, history is not static, and laws must adapt to the realities of their present. We are no longer in the era of Reconstruction, and while the amendment's protections were vital at the time, the specific population it was meant to shield no longer faces the same systemic threat. Many who benefited directly from the amendment have passed on, and their descendants are firmly established within the fabric of American society. Today, the context has shifted, and birthright citizenship is being misused in ways the framers could not
have anticipated or imagined. This misuse undermines the very principle of fairness that the amendment was designed to uphold. Reforming birthright citizenship could not erase history. Reforming birthright citizenship would not erase history or deny the accomplishments of those who fought for its enactment. Rather, it would ensure that the law evolves to address modern challenges, protecting against exploitation while preserving the integrity of citizenship. Those who oppose reform often cling to a narrow or rigid and myopic interpretation of constitutional law. They fail to acknowledge that the Constitution is a living document designed to adapt to the needs of a changing society. Just as we must reimagine or re-examine outdated gun laws in the face of mass shootings, we must also reconsider immigration policies to ensure they serve their intended purposes or their intended purpose without enabling abuse. Reform does not mean rejection. It means refinement. It means recognizing that the intent behind a law must align.
Reform doesn't mean rejection. Reform does not mean rejection. It means refinement. Reform does not mean rejection. It means refinement. It means recognizing that the intent behind a law must align with its application in contemporary society. Addressing the misuse of birthright citizenship is not an attack on the rights of African Americans or any other group. It is a necessary step toward ensuring that citizenship remains a privilege and responsibility, not a loophole. So let us move beyond emotional appeals and engage in a nuanced, fact-based discussion about immigration reform. The goal is not to diminish history, but to ensure that the laws we uphold today serve the realities of the present while maintaining the principles of justice and fairness for future generations. Birthright citizenship must evolve, not as a rejection of its past, but as a commitment to a fairer, more equitable future. I submitted this article earlier in the Neoliberal Journal. It's at theneoliberal.com. And please, let me hear your views on this particular issue. Do you believe that birthright citizenship should be reformed in the U.S.? Send us your feedback or send us your comments at info@theneoliberal.com. Please check out our store page at store.theneoliberal.com. Get your copies of the Neoliberalism book and also pre-order the Neoliberalism book that's coming up, Neoliberal Globalization Reconsidered. You can also check out our IT solutions as well, our web hosting solutions, our content solutions, writing and editing, research and education. Please check out the new series, Caribbean Thought 2025. That's being taught at Jamaica Theological Seminary, available right here on the Neoliberal podcast. Please support us at anchor.fm/neoliberal/support and continue to send us your support by sharing this show with your friends and let us know how we can continue to improve. I'm Alan McKenzie of the Neoliberal Round podcast and the Neoliberal Round YouTube channel, president of the Neoliberal Corporation. Please continue to support us, subscribe, and share. Welcome.